might as well just call it the Wild Wild West. So much parity, so much competition, so many storylines. Let's just start with the defending champs. Chemistry, obviously well coached. I love the way they play. They move the basketball. It's very team oriented. It's a team effort. I feel that the Lakers are the most stacked team. I feel like they have the most stacked and talented roster individually on paper right now. But can we talk about the Clippers for a second? Russ pushes the pace. It's crazy. I think this is his 16th or 17th year. It's crazy to me that this dude has been playing this long. He's still like one of the fastest guards out there. Still one of the most explosive guards out there. And he's had injuries in the past. Hasn't derailed him. He's still one of the most durable players in the league. I love watching him with this group because this is the first time in his career where he doesn't need to be the first or second option. This is the first time where he's in a situation where I feel like there's a mutual understanding for what the team needs from him and what he needs them to let him be. He didn't have that understanding with the Lakers. You could tell it just wasn't gelling. But with this squad, you can see that he had 11 points, 13 assists, I believe 5 boards, shot 5 for 8 from the field in 29 minutes. He only had 3 turnovers, man. And with the way he plays and just his history, I can live with 3 turnovers for a starting point guard who's going to play 30 minutes. 30 plus minutes. I can live with that. And they weren't boneheaded plays. They weren't blooper reels. You understand what I'm saying? But he had fun. And also just being a leader on the court, on the bench, in the locker room, a spark plug for these guys. You can tell he wants to see the younger dudes prevail and do well when they get the opportunities. Like Bones Highland, for example, you can just see the relationship that they have. I absolutely love it. The Clippers don't need him to score 30 a night. They don't need him to drop 25, 20. They don't even need him to score 15. But they need him to do exactly what he did the other night on opening night in LA, and that is to do what? Make the game easier for Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Take the weight off of them, which is exactly what Russ did. He had, like I said, 13 assists. So he's doing his job as a point guard, getting guys wide open dunks, wide open layups, wide open shots, wide open looks. Just making the game easier for everybody else. Kawhi, 23 points in 29 minutes. Paul George, 27 points in 32 minutes. They were up so much by the end of the third quarter, they didn't even have to play in the fourth. So just imagine they played in the fourth. Those numbers are even going to be, up a notch from that. So okay, that's the Clippers. Phoenix. We can't forget about Phoenix. KD. Okay, no, I'm sorry. Let me not start off by saying KD. I got to put Devin Booker's name in front of Kevin Durant's name because D Book. He's the number one guy. Not that they care about that. I know that's just a us thing that we like to get on here on social media and talk about it, but he's the number one guy. But just look at that. Devin Booker torched Golden State in the opener. Then you have Kevin Durant. Then you have Bradley Beal, who I know he's dealing with some back problems. We haven't seen him yet, but then you have a guy like Bradley Beal. And then you just brought in, I think my man's name is Nurkic, my guy from the center that came over from Portland. I think he's a good fit for them. He's been looking good these first couple of games. Even though they don't have a deep bench, they have arguably the most talented starting 5 in the league. So you gotta talk about Phoenix, right? Then how about Golden State? Yeah, they didn't look good in their season opener, but okay. There was no Draymond there. But he'll be back soon, I'm sure. And honestly, I don't mind CP3, even though he didn't shoot well in that game. I don't mind CP3 being on this roster the more that I think about it. I had a problem with it at first. I don't mind it now because the leadership. He's a veteran. He's a floor general. And he can score. He can facilitate and he can score the basketball. Okay? And because you have a guy like Steph out there, Clay, Wiggins, you're not going to be asked to do as much as he was doing. Well, I mean, shoot, even in Phoenix. Well, honestly, he doesn't have to do as much as he did in Phoenix. Now, when KD got to Phoenix at the end of last season, then obviously he wasn't asked to do as much. Okay? So that's Golden State. How about Sacramento? The Kings were by far one of my favorite teams to watch last season. Did you see them last season? Did you see the way that the fans and just that city was engaged? When they were playing lights out and winning games, you light up the beam. You remember that? Light up the beam every time they got a win at home. Or just, I think, a win in general. But, man, I love De'Aaron Fox, man. I wish the Lakers would have got him in the draft instead of going with Lonzo Ball. But I'm telling you, man, and honestly, last year when they played Golden State and they won 7 games and they lost to them in Game 7, I think that had more to do about the fact that they were young and just not as battle-tested, not as experienced. I think experience played a major role in why Golden State was able to escape that series. But if it happens again this season, I think they win that series. So you got to look at a team like that, right? How about the Mavs? My brother, I almost forgot about the Mavs for a second when I was talking to Kobe the other day. He said, bro, the Mavs, Luka and Kyrie, they won their first game. I think they played the Spurs. They won. And Kyrie and Luka put up big numbers. Their thing is going to have to, just, the good thing is they had a full off season together, full training camp. So they were probably able to kind of work on just the chemistry. Because you don't want it to be a tug of war. You want them to be a solid 1-2 punch where it's fluid, right? And I hope they find that this season, because if they do, they're going to be dangerous too. Okay, how about Memphis? I know Ja Morant is not there right now. He's serving that suspension, but he'll be back in December. Okay, and you remember last season, they were a force to be reckoned with the whole season. And even when he was out, they were still winning games. So you got to you can't count them out either. And then, oh my gosh, the Thunder. People don't talk about OKC, but I mean, Shea Alexander, this dude is a beast. They're a young team. They're a hungry team. They play well together. I'm not saying they're a contender, but they're worth watching. Okay, they're competitive. And you can't, oh my gosh, you can't, I almost forgot about this. Me and my brother almost forgot about this team the other night. You can't forget about Minnesota. How can you forget about Minnesota? The Ant-Man, Anthony Edwards, he's tough. I watched him doing those Olympic games over the summer. He's tough, man. Come on, him, Cat. You can't count a team like that out either. They're gonna be a team that's worth paying attention to as well. Utah was in the mix for a good chunk of the season last year. Okay, my man Jordan Clarkson, I think he got 6 man a year. I could be wrong, but I thought he was great for them last year. So they'll most likely be relevant for a good chunk of the season. And they're a team that's going to be competitive. You can't, if you have them on your schedule, put it like this, if you have them on your schedule, you can't take them lightly. You cannot take them lightly. I'll say that. They're not contending for anything, in my opinion, but they're still a team where I don't think you can take them lightly. Okay, that's Utah. I mentioned Portland earlier. Obviously, they still have, Anthony Simons, Jeremy Grant. They just got Ayton. They got Robert Williams now. I like Chauncey Billups as the coach. So it's gonna be interesting to kind of pay attention to them a little bit. No Dame Dollar this year, and don't get me started on Dame and the Bucks, because that's a whole nother segment in terms of what I believe that team would do. I watched them in the opener. I watched him and Giannis together. Dame, 39 points in his debut with the Bucks. I think that's the most points scored by a player debuting with the Milwaukee Bucks in their history. Spurs. I didn't get a chance to watch them the other night, but you got Victor, you got Wemby, you have this phenom of a rookie, who is being compared to all the greats already, in terms of what his ceiling is and his potential. Come on, man, you're gonna watch that. You're gonna watch that. And even last but not least, the Houston Rockets. I think you're tripping if you don't think I'm gonna be keeping tabs on that storyline. It's mainly the storyline this season, because you got Ime Udoka back. Okay, he gets another coaching opportunity. So I want to kind of see what he does with that. They got blown out in their season opener, but I want to see what they're gonna do. You got the acquisition of the villain. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about Dylan Brooks, who was pretty much, Memphis was not loyal to him, even though he was loyal to them on the court. You got Jalen Green, who was there. You got it. Come on, man. Exciting young player to watch. My man Victor Oladipo, I know he's been injury prone and plagued by injuries, but I'm always rooting for him. He's there. You got Fred VanVleet. Definitely a storyline there. Comes from, he's not in Toronto anymore. He was great in Toronto. Let's see what he does here with this, this young nucleus they had. And then honestly, guys, I know this is controversial, but I'm still waiting to kind of see what's going to happen with Kevin Porter Jr. with the legal troubles that he's facing right now and the allegations that he's facing right now with those assault charges. But last year, I think he averaged almost 20 points a game. So I'm curious to see what's gonna. I know he's been dismissed indefinitely by the team, but I want to see what's gonna happen. So, bro, listen. The parity in the West this year is just second to none, and I'm telling you, man, it's the Wild Wild West for real. And we're gonna see what happens, what transpires. But I can't wait. I'm just so happy the season's back. This might be the year that I probably should have got the league pass. Probably should have got NBA league pass. That's how crazy it is this season. Until next time, Karl Nelson, Intern Media.